Hello, readers. Welcome back. We hope you had a wonderful winter break with rest and fun and maybe some reading for pleasure. We are today back in our Blue Reading Mastery book. We are going to continue this week with our stories about Wendy and Sydney. We are on lesson 62 today. You may want to pause for a moment, grab your book and packet, and get to lesson 62, then press play to continue. All right, lesson 62, starting at column 1. All the words in column 1 have more than one syllable. The first syllable of each one is underlined. Listen carefully. Word 1, suit and case make? Right, suitcase. Number 2, crunch and E make? Correct, crunchy. Number 3, pro and gram make? Yes, program. Number 4, re and sieve make? Excellent, receive. Number 5 is a name that we're going to be learning soon or reading about soon in our story. Sam and son make? Correct, Samson. Number 6, close and up make? Very good, close up. Let's go to column 2. Column 2, all the words in column 2 have endings on them called suffixes. I'm going to give you the root word and the suffix, and you tell me the whole word. Number 1, the root word is assign, and the suffix is ed. It makes the word assigned. What word? Good, assigned. Number 2, the root word is impress. The suffix is iv. It makes the word great, impressive. That was impressive. Number 3, the root word is zip, and we added the ed suffix to make the word right, zipped. Number 4, the root word is telescope, and we added an S to make it a plural noun. What word? Right, telescopes. Number 5 has actually a prefix and a suffix. Un is the prefix, pack is the root word, and ed is the suffix. It makes the word unpacked. Very good. And number 6, the root word is bubble, and the suffix is ing, making the word good, bubbling. Nicely done. Let's go to column 3. Word 1 is overhang. What word? Good, overhang. Number 2 is crackle. What word? Great, crackle. Number 3 is splattered. What word? Splattered. Very good. Number 4 is crater. What word? Yes, crater. And number 5 is warned. What word? Right, warned. Let's go to column 4. What is word 1? Yes, film. Number 2, correct, area. How about number 3? Yes, lava. Number 4, right, leak. And number 5, correct, soup. I noticed all of the words in column 4 have 4 letters. Interesting column. All right, scholars, if you feel like you need to practice any of those vocabulary words again, press pause and review them right now. Otherwise, we are moving to part B. So we are today going to have our next story about Wendy, but first, an information passage that's going to give us some fact review of what we've learned. Planets and gravity. You've learned a lot of facts about planets. Here are some of the more important facts. Bigger planets have stronger gravity. Smaller planets have weaker gravity. The stronger the gravity on a planet, the more somebody would weigh on that planet. Let's check a couple things. So, everybody, which planets have stronger gravity? Big planets or small planets? I hope you said big planets. That would be correct. If a person weighs 100 pounds on Earth, the person will weigh more than 100 pounds on planets that have stronger gravity than Earth. The person will weigh less than 100 pounds on planets that have weaker gravity than Earth. Let's check on a couple things related to that. So, scholars, listen carefully. Which of these two planets is bigger, Earth or Saturn? Right, Saturn. So, on which planet is there stronger gravity then? Right, Saturn. Let's try another one. Which of these planets is bigger, Jupiter or Mars? Right, Jupiter. So, which of those two has stronger gravity, Jupiter or Mars? Yes, Jupiter. Where would you weigh more, Saturn or Mars? Yes, Saturn. Now, listen carefully to this one. A person weighs 100 pounds on planet A and 30 pounds on planet B. Which planet has stronger gravity then? Right, planet A. Let's try one more. Something weighs 20 pounds on planet Z and 30 pounds on planet B. Which planet has stronger gravity? Did you say planet B? That would be correct. Let's keep reading. A person who weighs 100 pounds on Earth weighs over twice as much on Jupiter, but weighs only 17 pounds on our moon. Saturn has 47 moons. Jupiter has 63 moons. Earth has one moon. Now, scholars, since this book was published, those numbers have changed for both Saturn and Jupiter, but Earth still just has one moon. I'll give you the updated numbers soon. Io is the moon that is closest to Jupiter. It takes about 2 days for Io to go all the way around Jupiter. There is no oxygen around Io and no oxygen around our moon. A person can jump 8 feet high on Io. Let's check on a couple last things. What's the name of the moon closest to Jupiter? Correct, Io. And about how long does it take for Io to go all the way around Jupiter? Right, about 2 days. And how high can you jump on Io? 8 feet is correct. All right, scholars, press pause, and I want you to read that information passage aloud to yourself, to a pet, or to someone in your family before we continue to our story. All right. To whom did you read? Excellent. Let's go to part C. We are continuing our story today about Wendy. If you remember where we stopped before winter break, Traveler 4 was just slowing down and getting ready to land on Io, the space station on Io. As Traveler 4 approached Io, the engines came on with great force. Does everyone remember why the engines had to come back on? They had to turn on the engine to slow down the ship for the landing. The engines didn't sound the way they sounded near Earth because there was no air around Io. So Wendy didn't hear the great roaring sounds of the engines. But she felt the engines buzzing and making everything inside the spaceship tremble. Traveler 4 floated slowly down to the surface of the moon, right between two towers. When it landed, the passengers clapped and cheered. Wendy could hardly wait to leave the ship. I can imagine why the passengers cheered and why they were glad to leave. Do you remember how long they've been on the ship? Very good, 4.5 days. And just think how you would feel after being in that ship for 4.5 days, right? A little restless, right? Anxious to get out, maybe a little tired, feeling kind of closed in and cramped. So they clapped and cheered when they made the landing. The flight attendants helped the passengers get into their spacesuits. The attendants checked everybody to make sure that they had zipped up the suit so that no air would leak out. One flight attendant announced that the suits would not feel heavy because the pilot had turned off the gravity device. With the gravity device turned off, Wendy felt much lighter than she did on Earth. So, which has stronger gravity, Io or Earth? Now remember, she felt heavier on Earth. So, which one has stronger gravity? Right, Earth. Let's continue. The flight attendant talked to the passengers over the radio that was in their helmets. Go directly into the space station. Inside, you will receive information about Io. You will also receive a map of the places you may visit on Io. You can pick up your baggage inside the space station. The attendant continued. We're going to let the air out of the spaceship now. You may feel a little dizzy for a few seconds. Take your time and walk slowly to the space station. Wendy waited with the other passengers as the air was let out of Traveler 4. Then the doors opened and the passengers walked outside. Wendy felt very light as she left the spaceship. The ground was crunchy. She took a couple steps on it. Then she decided to take a little jump. She jumped about 5 feet high. So, scholars, if you stand up right now, right, she jumped higher than you're standing right now. Right, if she was able to jump 5 feet high. So she was planning to just take a little jump, but 5 feet is not a little jump. Why can she jump so high? Right, because there's less gravity. She started to laugh and was ready to jump again when she heard a voice over her radio. Shh, take it easy, the voice said. Shh, just walk to the space station. Before walking inside the space station, Wendy turned around and looked at Io. She could see 3 volcanoes, but they were not erupting. One was very close to the space station. The sky was almost completely covered by Jupiter. It was the biggest thing that Wendy had ever seen. And it was beautiful. The sight of Jupiter was so impressive that she just stood there, looking. Shh, keep moving, a voice said over the radio. Shh, there will be lots of time to look at Jupiter later on. Scholars, I just passed by the blue star. Find that spot And then we're at the next paragraph. I want you to pause and read the rest of this story to yourself today. Be ready for a few questions when you press play. Read carefully. All right, let's check on what you read. First, how big was Wendy's room? Right, very small. It was not very big at all. Who has the room right next to her? Correct, Sydney. Can you remember some of the things Wendy did in her room before she went to the meeting area? Did you say any of these things? Listen. Took off her spacesuit, unpacked her suitcase, she took out her camera, she made sure there was film in her camera. Those are all things that she did in her room. What is the name of the man who was talking when they got to the meeting area? Good, Rod Sampson. Scholars, if you're having trouble answering my questions, you may want to go back to that blue star and reread the end of the story. What place did Sydney want to visit? Right, Soup Pot at the volcano. And about how far from the space station is Soup Pot? Correct, about a half a mile. Scholars, how big is Jupiter compared to the other planets in the solar system? Right. Not only is it biggest, it's bigger than all the other ones put together. Last question. How long does it take for Jupiter to spin around one time? Yes, about 10 hours. All right. Scholars, let's take a look at our packet for today.